Hello, everyone, and welcome to Back and Forth with Jaime and Gerald episode. We have Michelle Marie and Jonathan's voice asking the questions. Hello.
Yay. Hello, Jonathan.
Thank you for being here.
Hello.
And we did hear Jonathan's voice. So thank you both for being here. So what's everybody drinking? I have my iced coffee, water.
Yeah, with LaCroix in it.
Nice.
White Russian coffee, hazelnut coconut milk, soup du jour. That's what we call it.
Oh my gosh.
Yum.
Yeah.
It's good.
That sounds amazing.
Very good. So for those of you who have never been here, this is for entertainment purposes only. Do not make decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance. Really. And all of our channels are linked below. So please like, share, and subscribe.
Ding, ding, ding,
Yep.
ding.
And Michelle has regular Wednesday evening tarot readings. We'll say that, and good information. Who is your host? Who is your guest this week?
David with Tarot by the Bay.
Very nice.
And then this evening I'll be with Marina on her show, which is Heart Center Tarot.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then do you have anything else coming up this week?
I do. I have an unboxing of the Crystal Spirit Talking Board by Monte Farber and Amy Zerner, and I will be opening up this on the air and then just talking about how it works and
I love it.
looking at all the fabulousness they can give us.
Excellent. And I did want to share tomorrow. I'm thrilled for this. I have a laugh and learn about the goddess Hecate or Hecate. And this is with Ken Payne, who is the author of the Hecate or Oracle of the Hecatean Path. And that's tomorrow. And then Wednesday evening, I have Light Language, and that's at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I'm looking forward to that. Thursday, I am doing readings with Linda Day Gonzalez.
Ooh. And
on Friday, I am hosting yes or no questions, yawn readings with Hershey, the Shadow Reader, and Thomas from Tarot Your Way. So I'm
busy.
I am. And so, yeah. And by the way, the lady over there is Jamie, Wandering Mountain Bardic Path.
And I'll be in school. That's what my busy thing is. I'll be in school or clinic, one of the two.
School or clinic. There you go.
Shooting animals or learning and counting.
And, I did create this. Welcome to Back and Forth. So there we go. And I didn't put in anyhow.
Ooh, Gerald Michelle Marie. That's his new name.
Gerald Michelle Marie. Shut up.
Oh, that'll be a nice one to throw at you in a text.
So let's say hi to all of the lurkers.
Hi, lurkers.
And they're listed below, including all of the workers, the multitasking lurkers, the gardening lurkers, the parenting lurkers, the nap lurkers, the turkey lurkers, and only half paying attention lurkers.
Jesus.
So
okay.
The turkey lurkers was Jeffrey's. He had to do that.
Turkey lurkers, I love that.
So
I blew a kiss to you, Jeffrey, just so you know.
She blew a kiss to you, Jeffrey. So, and Kaylee is here under the Fogo Pogo. Hello, Kaylee. Kaylee had a great show last night. She had this guest on Woo Woo Wonderment that caused a few problems and went off track a bit. but she managed it well. So look at that. Beth is here. Hello. We have Merita here. And Pamela Batchelor has joined us. My fave time slot for back and forth. Yep. Well, Pamela, if you ever want to come on, I know you don't. So, oh, tennis lurking. Is there? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Tortoiseshell Moon Kathy is here. And Cottonwood Heart is here. Hello. Laura Hammond Davis, Mary Hernandez Walker, Imelda, and Rossi is joining us. Hello. There's Jeffrey, also known as the voice of Jeffrey or Jeffrey's voice. Say hello, Jeffrey. He's like, I have not contracted to be in this.
Is Jeffrey a cat?
I expected him to say hello, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Catherine Stubbs is here. And Leo, hello. Good to see you. Janice Kath. And so I probably have even more people that I've missed. Thank you. Michelle Marie's link is below. So please do go over there. You also are giving us great information about astrology and stuff coming up in your shorts. So there's another reason to follow. So
thank you.
So yeah. And Nancy, A Crone's Intuition.
Hey, Nancy.
And somebody said something about David accounting.
Oh, no, they were saying bless your pointed head pretty much to me for accounting. It's for work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kristen has joined us. Mickey Walk is here. Hello.
Beth, I said the same thing in my head, but didn't want to say it out loud. Thank you.
Oh, no. Yeah, that guest sure was a troublemaker. What? Okay, we welcome Michelle and Jonathan. Apologize for any misspelling, Jeffrey. Okay, so now I have to get stuff coming up
in your shorts. I thought the same thing when you said it. The way you said it, it's like Michelle Marie has things coming out of her shorts, and it's like. So I thought the same thing. I am not alone.
All right, here. Take this. Welcome. Today's video is sponsored by the word moist. I said I
did it again.
said I wasn't going to do it, but anyhow.
I was flipping him off, just so you know, off camera.
Yes. So, we'll put it this way. Astrological Tarot regularly provides shorts with valuable information.
Short videos. Short takes.
It's not an OnlyFans account, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Zane is here. Tarot Token Witchery.
Much better.
Deanne DFL is here. Hello. And oh God.
Oh, Zane. Rude.
Did he say that? Did he say that rude? Yeah.
Yep.
Right after I get here. Well, I waited for you. So anyhow. So the way this works is Michelle Marie and Jonathan's voice ask Jamie and I questions and we answer them. So, and you are also invited to answer them in chat as you would like. So, all right. So we're ready, Michelle.
Okay. So Jonathan wanted to be the first question. So what's your first question, Jonathan?
Okay. What is the most significant effect of a reading you have given, and was it for yourself or another person?
Okay. I think, so the most significant effect for reading that I've given or I've done. Or what?
Or been given, right?
Or been given, yeah. One of the readings that I did for somebody probably about maybe 10 years ago, it was the first time that I actually didn't understand. I sort of stepped aside and I let words come out of my mouth. and I didn't realize what I was saying. And the person was like going, how do you know that? And I'm like, know what? Because I didn't recall what I had said. Some of that might be channeling, but it gave me confidence that I am actually a good reader. So
in your chart.
yeah.
You're better than a good reader, but I get the
Well,
word.
thank you.
I know. Anyway.
So, but yeah. So what about you, Jamie?
So I was 14. I've talked about this lady before. She was a self-professed witch and channeler, very popular in a certain city in Texas. I won't say it because she's still around, believe it or not, unfortunately. And it was basically the dawning of being able to read people's colors and to understand that I had the ability to know that someone's lying to me. And her entire reading was way off base, not true, fabricated, yada, yada. So it gave me the opportunity to see someone that, and it's kind of funny, our backstage conversation with this, but it gave me the ability to see someone that you don't want to be as a kid, that you do not want to be. If you don't hear something, if you don't feel something about a reading, you have the obligation to say, it's just not there, or I'm not getting it. You don't get to fake your ass through it and have someone hear what they want to hear or whatever. I was 14. I didn't know what I wanted to hear, but I knew that everything she was saying was bullshit. So there we go.
That is one of your Shaktis, Jamie. Yeah, it is. So I love that.
That makes my tail wag.
So you are a Shravana in Vedic astrology, and it's one who hears, and you've been gifted with the ear of Brahma, so you can filter out lies. It also, you have the power to connect to others because you can see truth. You're persevering, you're righteous, you can give lectures, you're very generous with your knowledge and wisdom, and you are drawn to various religions and traditions because you like the idea of those traditions and carrying them on and sharing them with others. But the ear here is one who hears. It's also the one who limps. So it goes along with you actually take your time to sit and to listen and to process what that person is saying in a way that is divinely orchestrated. And Gerald, you are Magha Nakshatra. Your deity are the Petri, so you can tap directly into the ancestors, and your power is you can leave your body. So you can leave your body, you can channel, you can go to other realms of existence. You have power, status, ancestors, ambitions. You can struggle with pride, vanity, or royalty. The reason I say that is Madonna, King Louis XIV. That's why the throne is there. So the reason these people are so powerful and they're magnificent is because they're super psychic and they can basically leave their body and access all of these powers. So you both have this in your charts. So I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's
interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
It's always nice when stuff like that you can hear the true bell ring, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More people have come in. Hi, Tracy Rivers, Jules, learning to listen. Deanne, DFL rocks. Hello. So, wow, that's cool. And Deanne said, be cool to get a read on my colors. They are in my pick. And I'm like, well.
But they're not.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
So there you go.
And I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't
Jamie
have that
doesn't
gift. That's great.
Jamie doesn't read for others.
Okay. Yeah.
If we were having a private conversation, that would be one thing, and somebody asked.
Yes.
But yeah.
Jonathan's that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So yeah. Cool. Did you want to share yours?
Sure. I have a couple. Actually, one of the first tarot readings I ever got, I used to do all of my essays in college in the Starbucks because the campus was too loud. Yeah. And so I get my headphones in and I would, be writing my stuff. And there was a guy who used to sit there and he would just give people tarot readings who walked in. And I'm like, that was kind of cool. And so I didn't have any cash on me, but I said, if I buy you a coffee or whatever today, can we can we make a bar? And he's like, oh yeah, buy me coffee and my thing, and we'll sit down and we'll do it. And just long story short, domestic violence runs in my family. It's a whole thing. And I was in a really bad relationship, and he pulled the death card and a few other cards, and he literally said, you have to get away from this person. They're not doing this, they're not doing that, they're actually stealing from you, and fill in the blank. And he warned me, and it saved me a lot of heartache and a lot of and of course I went into other violent relationships after that because I hadn't broken the cycle yet.
Right, the pattern.
But he kind of opened that window for me and made me see it. And then flash forward, I was in another domestic violent relationship, and there was a witch who was outside on the street doing readings, and she said, come here. She's like, you need to get away from him. And then she was like, he's really dangerous. And she like pulled the reversed emperor, and she like warned me. And I needed to hear that. Like my soul needed to hear that at that moment. And I was able to. So psychic saved my life, because I was basically a deer in the headlights, wasn't allowed to use a lot of intuition when I was younger. I was a closet witch with my astrology. And it was when I was going through my divorce that I learned tarot in the women's shelter. So it goes hand in hand. And so a lot of the readings now I give people is I've actually saved a couple of lives, because I did the same thing that they did for me using the cards. And so that's kind of the joy that tarot brought me. It was almost like a saved my life,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I got to do that for someone else. This was in not another life as in past life or something like that, but another career life. And this young woman came in, and I got hammered so bad with all kinds of information about her that I didn't need to know. But basically she came in and she had one hell of a shiner, and I just babbled out all this stuff at her. And it was years later that her sister came to me, and she says, you know what, my sister still talks about you, and that was the reason she was able to make changes, because someone she didn't know saw something in her and said that they believed in her and that she was more than what was put on her face.
Wow.
And I'm like,
That is really powerful, Jamie.
I remember the girl. I still remember her to this day. I see both of the girls still here, and they're women, but I still see both of them to this day. And I will walk up to them, they hug, they and then they go on their way. We know nothing about each other other than that particular situation. So
now, did you hear the message, or did it come to you subconsciously, Jamie?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always wonder how the ear of Brahma works. That's why
it was right here. It was just like all of this.
That's where it is. That's the intuition center. Yeah.
Just right there. And all this crap started coming out of my mouth about her and everything. And she's like, yeah, Maru, like a download. It's like, here you go, love.
Yeah, Yogananda calls that the intuitive center at the back of the head. We have one, which is the third eye, which is most commonly known, but we have an ajna on the back of the head that most women actually tap into, is what I read. So that's cool.
I love that.
I like connection when you sit with, this is what I like about this, that Gerald and I do, because you can find those people, every single person that we've talked to, there's been some kind of thread of connection where the thread comes over, it knots, and then it moves on. And we've created this web, as goofy as it sounds.
Yep.
The power to connect others.
See?
Nice.
That's the web.
Interesting.
So,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Same.
That's great. Ooh. Does Jonathan want to share his?
Okay, Jonathan.
Okay. I'm going to modify a question or two.
Oh no, you're going to answer the question. Like, how about like the
We
guy on the
invite him
train?
to, if he wants.
Oh,
If you want, if you're comfortable.
Yeah, I have a story that we refer to as the guy on the train. I was went to visit family in Portland, and I took the train back because it's a car issue.
Starlight Express.
So I got on the train and I sit down, and it's one of those where the seats face each other. Yeah. And the guy sat down next to me and we just started chatting. And he was telling me, well, I'm thinking about doing this in college, and I've had a long, bad college experience for most of my life. And so I gave him some of the things that had happened to me. And he said, oh, I was going to enroll in that course.
Western, yeah, that's where he was going to go to school.
So I told him about things like Udemy, which was just coming online at that point. You know, $15, you get basically a college course and credit. And he was making notes. All of a sudden, I noticed he's making notes. He's writing this down, which is something that people don't usually do when I'm talking to them. They're just nodding and waiting for me to shut up. But he asked a lot of really pertinent questions. He was a really intelligent young guy, and it would have been a waste of 4 years and probably $100,000 for this kid just to go to college and have a drinking problem. So I remember thinking to myself, if this were an O. Henry story, I would be the guy on the train. And that became sort of a slogan between us.
Every time Jonathan sits down on a train or a bus, it's like someone will come to him with a problem and he'll solve it or help them through it. It's that. Like, yeah.
That is awesome.
That's rad.
I love it. Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a reading, but it was just sort of like, you know, experiential.
But and it's equally as powerful. And it's just like, because you were just going into the flow and paying attention. And then you noticed that the guy was writing information down. So I love that.
That's how he fell in love with me. So he was basically coming into my business as a consultant, and we just worked really well together. So, and then Maruta asked about the deck I'm using. It's the Science of Light, Wisdom from the Stars by Madhuri Galuk. And I think it's Vedic Astrology 1008. If you tap on my shorts where I share the cards, I have a link where you can purchase the cards. Purchase responsibly, know your limits.
There you go. And Beth says the guy on the train would make a great storyline for a novel.
Yep.
So I love it. Okay, next question.
Okay, next question. What did you want to do your second one? Because he's got really good ones. I think the second one is really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How far off base have you been with a cold reading where the client returned with a different result?
Say that one more time.
A little louder, sweetie.
Okay. Try it again. How far off base did you learn you had been with a cold reading where the client returned with a different result?
Oh, okay.
Well, I did a reading for somebody who about romance, and the person that I was seeing and I was doing the reading about was not the person that he was thinking of. And it was one of these things that it was so there was a miscommunication there, and I sort of looked at him and I'm like, huh. Okay. Sorry about that. And then I did a reading based upon that other person when I got clarification. But everything that I had said about the first person was actually is how it turned out. He ended up breaking up with that second person, or the person, that he was thinking of. He ended up breaking up with that person. So does that make any sense? It was just this weird line of.
So were you really wrong?
The cards were right, but it was what I'm getting from you, Gerald, is it was so discombobulated. It was even hard for you to put together because of this person's situation.
Yeah, it was just so bizarre because I was like going, well, here you go, and this and this and this and then he told me that, that's this person. And it was like, okay, anyhow. So you just cut to the chase in your reading. But because he was dumbfounded. He was going to be asking this woman to marry him.
Oh.
And this not the first one, because it was should I marry this person? And I got some of her information, and I was like going, yeah, it's a really good match because you do this and this works, and this is how the two of you are together.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of looked at me because I was reading the wrong person. And then when I read the other person, it was like, huh, okay, that was a discombobulated thing. So okay, I'll just sit here. Jamie, go ahead. I'll just sit here and drink my coffee.
You can read Jeffrey's arrows pointing towards me, so I can pass on this one.
Jamie doesn't read, so but that's okay.
Well, there you go.
It's okay.
I think for me, it was an astrology reading, and this person came to me, and I saw that they said I had this really big thing happening in my business. And they were having issues with a business partner, and there was a discombobulated, so to speak. And so they said, can I go down basically across the country and go get my products and my stuff and bring it back? And I looked at their chart and I said, no, an eclipse is happening on your moon that week. I mean, it was just like right there. I'm like, I don't have to look any further. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, where's your mother? And they said, oh, they live with me. And I'm like, really watch mom during that time. How old is mom? And they told me, and I'm like, okay, health problems. Yeah. Okay. Don't leave your mom at home and don't go on the trip because you can't leave your mom behind. Whatever you do, don't leave your mom alone. And so they mistook that as, I'll just bring my mom with me and I'll do it in a road trip instead of a plane. And so the fourth house, which is the moon, also rules our vehicles. And so what happened was they did it. And I told them not to, but they did it. And they said, well, I'll just bring my mom and it'll be okay. And so about halfway through, they lost their wheel wells on the car and almost went off a cliff. And so then they had to get a secondary car because then the mother had a medical emergency because she developed a blood clot. And so then they had to get like an emergency team and everything. So it was like this whole thing. And they came back like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I took my mom. And I'm like, I told you not to go. It was like this whole thing. Now, luckily, this was like a person that I knew. And so it wasn't like, whoa, but it was like, I took my mom and I said, but it so there was that. Mm-hmm. And then there was another one where I gave a read to a woman. And again, I attract a lot of people that are suffering from domestic violence. It happens for both genders. And this was a male who came to me and it was like, what is going on in your relationship? And they were into BDSM. And I was tapping into it and thinking, you're getting hurt. So it was like, and he's like, no, that's something we enjoy. And I'm going, oh, it's consensual. Oh, because in my mind's eye, I'm looking at you getting tortured, you know, and it's like, well, yeah. Oh, okay. So there's stuff like that comes into that's like, oh, all right, got it. So what about you, Jonathan?
He didn't realize he was going to be asked to answer these questions, did he?
I'm going to pass.
You're going to pass? Okay.
Have to name names.
He'd have to name names. That's his
okay. I understand. Yeah. And by the way, that is.
I just don't want to lose it.
There you go. And that is Jonathan's voice, not to be confused with Jeffrey's voice. Mm-hmm. So, and the best chatters have clarified that. So,
but I do want to answer Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I know because I saw the arrows pointing towards the owl. I got that. That's why I said I'm going to steal Jeffrey's.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah. Well, and Beth said to your story, Michelle, why am I picturing National Lampoon Vacation?
I was too.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah, it was. And that's just a couple of things that happened. Yeah. So, but it was, and the thing is, Sherry did the same thing. Sherry Hart, who actually came out and told us all about it. And I'm like, honey, it's eclipse season and Saturn and Mars are at war on that day. And she has the craziest story. If you go to her night owl conversation, oh my gosh, did she go through it? So it's just astrology in action. I love it when that happens. It keeps me grounded. So
I do have one of the funny things that happened to me is I had a straight couple who wanted a love reading, and the only, and I was using the gay tarot. Mm-hmm. And so I gave this straight couple a love reading, and it was the best love reading I had ever given. And I just thought it was hilarious that I was using the gay tarot with it. It was funny. They loved it. They thought it was hilarious. So
that's great.
So, but anyhow. that just made me think of that.
Okay, so I will do the next question.
Mhm.
So have you ever come across someone who is obviously a total fraud, but has a huge following in the community? You can be honest, use fake names, or just examples of things that you see. And Jamie, I know you're an expert, so that's why I looked at your chart and went, she's going to know. It's like, I got to ask this to Jamie.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I will just say yes, because that would be just much easier than it's like Jonathan. It's like, nah, I'd have to name names, and I'm not going to do that. So, other than the lady in Texas, she was, boy, that was fascinating. I'm, the channeling, I'm going into the light, and then her changing her voice, and it's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Okay. Everybody's holding hands, right? And you're supposed to keep your eyes closed, and I'm like peeking and I'm elbowing my mom, and she's like, stop it. And I'm like, no, this is hilarious. You got to watch.
Yeah. I love it. You have to, Mom, get your popcorn. Watch this.
That is so
Watch
funny.
this. So,
yeah.
Well, you have an exalted Jupiter, Jamie, and he's not retrograde. So you're actually able to point out false gurus and teachers. So that's another thing in your chart. And then you've got a Rahu Sun Mercury conjunction in Aries, and this is in the sidereal. And that does not make you back down as much from confrontation, even though you do have you have Ketu in Libra. So yeah, that's interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes, I notice people like that. I put my energy elsewhere. If I have subscribed, I unsubscribe, and then I just don't engage with it. And part of it really is, it's just the energy is wrong or off, or, I'm a bit of a showman. We all know that. That's probably
so much of a showman. People make us props for your showmanship.
Yes.
That's how much of a showman.
But it was just like it was more about the pomp and the circumstance rather than the information.
Yes.
And it made me, when I see that, it makes me feel a little grimy. And then so I'm taking care of cleansing myself of that energy. So
okay. Yeah, Gerald, you're spot on with that kind of energy. And there's I'm not going to name the channel, but there's young gal. She's had a channel for over 10 years and just done up to the nines. Gorgeous. She's got everything put in, and she's sitting across from a table. And every time she opens a deck, she'll like pull it out, and she'll have all of her stuff out, and she'll be like, oh my gosh, drinks tonight, everybody, cups, cups, cups. And because she didn't shuffle it, she's pulling the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups, and she's going, and then she's talking about people partying together, and then like someone asks a question, and then she just pulls up a random tarot card and starts talking about it, and it's not the meaning of the card at all. Stuff like that. But they watch her because she's very pretty. She's got the nails, she's got the background, she's got all the stuff. That's one person I look for. Is it all showmanship, or are they actually doing something to connect?
Yeah.
And that tells me is there's a lack of a spiritual practice in the background. Because in my opinion, you have to have some kind of inner life or spiritual practice in order to tap into your guides and be self-realized and things like that. But the main thing I look for is when I'm watching other people, I pull cards and I ask my guides what they think. And so they kind of guide me along that. And then a lot of blind spots that I have that I'm working on is escapists. So like that kind of Seven of Cups energy, people who get into the community not as a way to improve themselves or improve the lives of others, but to deny their issues and to not accept responsibility for their actions. Oh, it was the Mercury retrograde. That's why I did that. It's like, you're making mistakes, but you can't blame your responsibility on the planets. You're allowed to go into these different modalities, but they shouldn't be taking you away from your responsibilities and providing excuses that are harming other people. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Beth said, Michelle Marie, LOL, sounds like the tarot reader in the lover card in the 00 movie. Cups, 007.
007, yeah.
Cups, cups. Look, more cups. Yeah. And Oh, and Nalani Hypnicity uses a pendulum, and a lot of people are, the comments following reader and what is being read do help. I think one of the things is I do really look for, there's a certain energy about somebody who's reading, and they're able to connect in a new way the cards, and they do a nice job of putting it, really melding it with the question. So they I think the best readers for me are the ones who listen to the question, and then read the cards and interpret the cards as an answer to that question, instead of, here's the Three of Swords, this is what that means, and it always means that. I need some range.
Well, it's kind of like that thing of, you're not listening to answer. You're the quote just went out of my head because a big guy back there whining. You're reading the cards as you're supposed to, as opposed to you've already got your answer before the person's even done talking. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. You have to hear all of the things. Yeah, context is everything, Tom. Yeah, for sure.
So,
Are you saying you're a good listener, Jamie?
hi, Jonathan. Imelda says, I wish I had the talent gifts you three have. You may certainly have it. What you also need is you need to go in and study, and then, because it's understanding, it's like when you're a chef, you need knife skills so that you don't hurt anything. So
yeah, Amy Zerner described it to me as, if you want to build your psychic muscles, you got to go to the gym and lift. So
yep. Yeah.
So what about you, honey?
Practice.
He's good at this.
So are we still on the
the discernment?
Yeah, we still are.
Jamie and you and Jamie have this in common.
I have a non-optional BS detector that's turned on 24/7 and all the way up, and it can get in the way of actually hearing and seeing what's going on around me. But it's kind of going back to the man on the train thing. Somebody will sit down, talk with me a little bit, whether I know them or not, and I can sort of feel what's going on, and I react to that. That's why I probably have been involved with yoga and psychics and things for pretty much since I was about 18.
You got a reading when you were 18 about me.
Oh yeah, I did. There's another story about the man on the train. I kind of like that. Somebody just randomly, I was involved in a yoga group long ago and far away, and part of that, when I was just getting started, somebody sat down.
He was the director of the Sivananda Yoga Vedanta Center in Chicago, Canada, which would be Valmarin and New York. So he's
a little small.
Yeah.
Well, I was one of the directors. Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's international, honey.
Sat down and said, you're struggling with like the meaning for you of what you're doing. You don't feel you're connected. This is kind of this is a real psychic. Doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But he said, you're going to meet someone with certain characteristics that I won't go into after a prior relationship, and that is the person that you're supposed to be with, and that is, of course, this person.
And he said after a long period of stagnation, and he married me when you were 65.
Yeah.
I love
I'm his first wife. So.
And I got that reading when I was in my 20s. So.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's wonderful.
So he got a real person the first time he got a reading, and that kind of helped set him up for what to look for. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's great.
So That brings us to the next question, because Gerald, you mentioned something that I really appreciate about you and Jamie when I watch you read. You're both incredibly visually attuned to your cards. I noticed you're constantly making references. Like there was one thing, Gerald, the other day, you pointed out, you pulled out two cards. I believe you were reading with Marina, and you said, "You see the energy here where he's holding the cups." I think it was like the Temperance card, and then this one where it's, and then it was like it was another cups, and it was like, you see the energy going on here, and you created a whole story just based on that one image that connected the two cards. And Jamie, you do it too. It's amazing. So you're both incredibly visually attuned. Where do you see that gift arise in readings? Is it in your charts? Have you seen it before? Have you had any like Akashics done on where you get this gift from? Because you both have it, at least in my opinion.
Hi, Ramon, by the way. I have always had this gift, this sense of, I look at things and I see a relationship or how they interact. So I haven't really looked at it, just because it's how I am. It's how I experience the world. And I am, all of my quilting is similar to that. It's just like, I can tell you where it related to tarot that it really helped is I took the Read With Me series with Sadhana from Integrative Healing with Sadhana. I took 2 of her tarot classes, and really phenomenal about visually looking at the cards and using that information to tell the story. So
very cool.
So it was really, really powerful. But I also think when I look around the house and things like that, the things that I put together, they tell a story, they interact. So
you do that with your background too. Yeah.
Nothing is singular. It's all in relation to other things around it. Did I answer your question? I sort of got lost in that. So, Jeffrey put I would say it comes to his visual artistry. I'm no expert, just my relational experience. Yeah. So.
Okay.
So.
I don't know that I can answer it fully. I can do the best I can. I've always been like this since I was a little kid. And my mom was, amongst many, many other things, she was an artist, and her art was, so she did pen and ink, so that was literal, but then she also did a lot of avant-garde where you have to see something inside. Like my brother has a painting of hers that is the desert into the sun, and you look at this and it's just a bunch of fucking stripes. Okay. But she would, you know how you would do sand art way back in the day, and you would put sand in, and it would put this level here and then sand here, and it would, and it would blend all the things, and so you had all these different levels of sand. It was kind of the same way that when you looked at that picture, you're to see the horizon, right? Yeah. So she taught me to visually see patterns and pick things apart. And it's interesting because we discovered the other night that, well, not the other night, but I talked about it with Gerald, that in my studies and stuff, in taking notes with black ink, it doesn't work for me. It has to be blue ink. I actually go back to read my notes and it's just a bunch of crap. And so
interesting.
I'd like to blame my mom, basically.
And I will also add is I remember when I was in college taking art classes, because I went to art school, and we had these really hardcore assignments. My roommates, these were OCD roommates who were like, they were using mechanical pencils to do their stuff. I mean, it was so precise. And they got frustrated with me because I was spending my time thinking about things and imagining, and I was moving stuff around on my table or on my palette, You know, they were like, going, what does that have? You know, it's like, why aren't you doing this? And, you know, they spent 20 hours doing something. I spent a half an hour on it, and I got an exceptional comments from the teacher because I had been processing it from that. What's the relationship and the layers? Because I like to see layers. I see my whole world is in layers. Everything I see the world in transparencies.
I can see that in your fabrics.
So so it truly is.
And is that why you do the hole punch and you do that because you're trying to layer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to layer it, but I'm also it's also the relationship between one thing to another. It's like reading Akashic records, reading tarot.
That would be your Magha Nakshatra. The Akashic records are available to Magha Nakshatra. Chitragupta is the keeper of the Akashic records, and you actually have the power to access him. So it's very cool. Another thing, Gerald, is have you looked at your Jupiter-Venus conjunction in your chart? Have you studied that at all?
No.
Okay, that's a big one.
Okay.
It's in Chitra, and it's ruled by Tavestar. He is the celestial architect, and it's the star of opportunity. It is a very, very visual, artistic, and beautiful star. The deity is always obviously Vishwakarma. But it's about architecture, it's about creation, it's about design and skill and purpose. It's elegance, it's charm, it's very inspiring. And you have a Jupiter-Venus conjunction, aka war, in this nakshatra.
Okay.
So it's like double. Jupiter, it brings all of that beneficence, and then Venus brings all the beauty. And so that's your art school, that's your background, that's your ability to visualize and layer things. And Chitra, it spans both Virgo and Libra. Yours is in Virgo, which makes it a bit of a, did you struggle at all with perfectionism or like anything? Okay.
Jeffrey's looking over at me. He's like going, yes, I am a perfectionist. I do not know when to stop.
Okay, that would be the Chitra energy. So, and it's the celestial architect. And I love that. I think Beth said something. It sounds like more like architectural students because you're creating those layers. You're literally creating these structures. So, and then Jamie, I found the connection to your mother. So let me look at your chart again real quick so I get this right. Basically, your Venus is your Atmakaraka. That's the king of your chart. And it's in Bharani, in Taurus, really strong. And that's the ability to basically create something out of nothing. You're a creator, a creatress. It also gives you the power to handle death a little more easily because it's ruled by Yama. And then you've got Mrigashira. And that is where let's see, where's your Mrigashira here? Venus in Mrigashira, and then, Sun in Bharani. So Sun is your Matrakaraka, that represents the mother, and that's in Bharani. And then you've got Venus in Mrigashira, and Mrigashira is represented by the moon or mother. So just to give you a visualization of these things, this is Bharani. Okay, this is the sun in your house, she who bears. So this indicates that you actually may have given, what did your mother do for a living? Can I ask? Because you said that she
did everything, but she had a nonprofit basically that would teach women who were single parents to budget, to take care of themselves, get them out of domestic violence situations, get them out of poverty. So basically educating women and children for folks that are in the less than thought of categories of society. That's what she did.
Wow. Well, when we had an eclipse here in America, that's what brought down Roe v. Wade. And so your mother was the complete opposite of that, because eclipses, what they do is they kill the energy. So she was able to handle Yama, which is the god of death, who is very unpleasant things. That's domestic violence. That's suicide. That's, things that come along with that. And then women who are bringing life into this world and who are struggling. So that's part of the strength that you have in your chart is from your mother. And then I have the Venus in the Mrigashira, which is in Taurus. So Venus' own sign is in Taurus. And so Venus gives us all of the divine creativity, artistry, and ability to create all of these things. Okay, that's why I mentioned Jupiter and Venus in Gerald's chart. So if you look at you're the star of searching. So what this would tell me is that you have a lot of different artistic modalities that you're trying out and that you are using to kind of connect you to your spiritual path and to what you're doing, because it's represented by the deer's head, and the deer's head is always moving. It's always trying to direct itself in directions that fit. So I don't know if that fits at all, but I do notice that you do have quite a gift when it comes to being able to cross over different artistic.
The interesting thing is the deer. So the stag is my animal to call. So that's not, you know what I mean? You can totally interpret it that way. At least it's a representation.
The stag is the sign for Mrigashira. Yeah.
So there you go. So,
and that's your Venus, and that's the king of your chart. So that's the most important planet in your chart. That's what you came here to learn.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I love that. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I love it when astrology does that.
So there's a question. Adeb wants to know what cards you were using. I'm going to write them down so that I can remember them. So what are the cards that you were just sharing?
Yeah, no problem. Here's the bag that came in. It's the Science of Light, Wisdom from the Stars, Nakshatra cards, and it's by Madhuri Galuk. I have my own deck, but I'm not sharing it yet because I don't want China to steal it.
Right. Oh, geez. Yeah.
I know.
There you go.
I'm speaking from experience because I have a lot of mentors with decks out that are traumatized right now. So, yeah, like it's bad. So,
cool.
All right. So, do we have time for more questions?
Yeah, go for it. This is great.
Okay, let's see. Do you want to ask the next one, sweetie?
Sure.
Okay, he's got one ready for you.
Yeah, this is kind of up my alley since I'm a computer geek since when you had to build your own computer.
He built his first computer before they came out. It's amazing.
What are the biggest technical difficulties regarding your online practice?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. You got a few of those.
Okay, I'm going to answer this first. What is my biggest technical difficulty?
Yeah.
Skip over you and go to, there we go. Hashtag overachiever. One must elevate oneself.
What? What do you mean?
That would be the Chitra. That's the Jupiter Venus war.
Yes, thank you. So what is my biggest challenge with technology? Oh my God, keeping up with the fracking emails. I get distracted. I get so distracted. And but yeah.
Have you heard of Merlin?
That's is that an AI app to help with that?
I was going to be a smart ass. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Have I heard of Merlin? I'm Celtic. Have I heard of Merlin?
Well, I think,
I have heard of Merlin. Yes, I have.
Okay. Yeah. I'm playing with that a little bit. So just to kind of help with the appointments and stuff. And I also I use Calendly and other apps to help with the flow, the workflow, because it can be a lot.
Okay. So that's the other thing. And I know what you're going to say, is it would be nice to have a website. But I don't know. Yes, I know I can hire somebody to create a website. I don't know what the website needs to be because I'm overcomplicating it.
Oh, gotcha. That would be Chitra Nakshatra.
Yeah. And Jeffrey on the other side of the camera is going, "What? You're overcomplicating it?" Yes, I'm overcomplicating it. So, anyhow.
Okay. Mine would be, and believe it or not, it's a little outside the box because of the type of client that I attract. And I also attract readers that are dealing with this issue as well. I only have a PO box now. I only give readings online, and no one knows where I live, and no one knows my full name, and no one knows my phone number. And the reason I do that is because a lot of women who are suffering from domestic violence contact me, and I tell them how to get out. The guys aren't usually very happy about that. And I had 5 incidences in 2023 where our identities were hacked. We had to change our bank accounts. We had to change out a credit card because of domestic violence. And so for me, it's having to the online experience has separated me to the point where I can now reach those people when they come to me, and whether or not all of them are ready to leave, that
there's a protection in that.
Yeah. And so if they go back to them and say, she made me do it, which 5 did last year, and then their husbands came after me, I just went, you know what? Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get to me. And so that is kind of a problem, because I have a Google My Business page, and it's a PO box, and I have people checking in and going, why aren't you here? And I'm going, did you not look ahead of time? Like it says at the very top of the Google My Business page, online only, Zoom, And so my number one technical difficulty is I do not meet people in real life anymore, because it just became too dangerous for my particular energy. I'm not saying that to other readers, but for the type of clients I attract, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So
the smart ass in me would be like, I am here. I'm in my PO box. Can't you see me?
Yeah.
Just have a little figurine.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
I love that, Jamie.
It works.
Or, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you just gave me an idea. I could leave like business cards or something. So when people come into the PO box, they can just go, here it is. This is how you contact her. And they can, yeah.
Yep.
And that would be a perfect space for tiny hands to be able to deal with the PO box, Jamie. You brought it on yourself.
I did. I take full responsibility for my failing.
I'm obligated, I'm just bringing the more cowbell.
Ringing the bell. I got you.
There you go.
Payback's a bitch.
I know.
Okay, Tekananda. What's yours?
Well, biggest technical challenge is the acceleration of technical. We're doing things now that were impossible a year ago. And so probably by next year, it'll just be mind-to-mind contact with, we'll float in images that we purchase online, and it'll just be a massive global stream of consciousness that takes over our minds.
I have a different take on that. I do.
Yeah.
Because, I read Search Engine Journal, Wired, stuff like that. And what they're saying is they think that our industry is going to explode because people aren't going to have the IRL empathy factor. Like when you go online and you look at the news, it's not interactive. You don't have an audience. People are like people are lonely because of technology. So I see the future of the internet is kind of like Alexa, and that can only go so far. We need human contact. So I think that's why. Huh?
The A word, don't say that. She's right there, and she's very sensitive.
Which
ALEXA.
Oh, that one. Oh, gotcha. Sorry. Okay. I was going to say GOOLE, but we have that in our house. So what I read was the future of the internet, because Google's going to be gone in 5 years. So because we follow all their blogs, and they said it's going to be gone. It's going to be like, I'm really hungry for Italian food. Fill-in assistant here. My grandmother used to make this really big bolognese sauce with this da-da-da-da-da. Is there a good Italian restaurant nearby? I'm actually thinking about making it. Can you switch over and get me a recipe for that? Great. Can you order those ingredients and have them delivered? Thank you. It's like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow.
So, and they can order for you. They'll do everything for you. It's fantastic. It's like having your own personal assistant. Hey, can you write up the spreadsheets for the budget and get that over to my boss? Thanks. Stuff like that. And then his assistant answers back. And so we're still giving the machine prompts, but the machines aren't talking to each other yet. It's when the machines start talking to each other, things are going to get really nuts. And that's when I'm like, those are the articles that are just fascinating, because then I go into my RoboCop headset where it's like, okay, so let's say they want to make a police force that's non-judgmental. So they create these robots that go out and enforce the law. What if someone hacks the robots? When it comes to delivery services, when it comes to, so I don't know. I'm an 80s kid, so.
What my dad did for the military for 31 years, there's a huge part of me that wishes he was still around, because he was always on the up-to-date tech of everything, had the most up-to-date, even up to just a few months before he died. I would love to advance to that time and see his face and see his mind blown by even what we're able to do now has changed, because he's been gone for a couple of years. I would love to see what he would think of all of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and what's interesting is technology is not very easy for me. I have to work really hard. I do these videos and all of that
You
stuff.
make it look easy.
I work at it. I work really hard at it. And once I do it, then I can get into the flow. But good Lord, do not ask me to do a spreadsheet. Do not ask me to do a spreadsheet. I had staff. Well, listen to me. I had staff. When I was a supervisor, I had a staff member who she loved Excel. She loved making a spreadsheet, and she started. And Jeffrey's raising his hands, and I'm like going, yeah, okay, and I'm like going, is it possible to do this and this? And she's like, oh yeah, you put it in a spreadsheet and you do this and you do this and you do this. And I looked at her and I went, can you do that for me? She's like going, yeah. It's like, well, how soon can you have it? And I said, well, we got about 15 minutes before lunch. I should have it to you before then. And I'm like going, okay, great.
That's funny, Gerald, because I look at T, who is my best friend and the vet of the clinic, and then I look at myself and what I do. I run the clinic, right?
Mm-hmm.
She sees things digitally within spreadsheets. I can do anything analog and on a piece of paper. So I actually do our payroll on paper, and then it gets translated. But yeah, that's interesting to me. It's how our brains work, right?
Yeah.
And how we see patterns, how you can throw it all in there. It all kinds of, the whole conversation comes back around full circle, right? It's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a generational thing too, because I'm what we consider an older millennial. And what I do is these are my monthly notebooks, and it's just notes. Every time something comes up, I just have these notebooks, and I always have a pen on hand, and I'm always writing everything down. Like I have it on me all the time. Like this is my lifeline.
I have a little leather notebook that I fill with these.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always in my back pocket, especially if I'm on the truck.
I have the little one, I have the big one, and I was also journalism. So it's like I wrote everything down. And I've now translated. Then what I do is I take my notes and I digitalize them. So, but I think that's because I literally started middle school, and that's when the computers came out, like end of middle school, beginning of high school. And so I was introduced to the digital age when I was still in school. And so it was integrated at a young age, and I was able to make the transition, but I still use my notebooks. I still use all my, because that's what the original.
I love my notebooks. Oh my gosh, that reminds me. Jamie, do you remember when I discovered that my phone could take a picture of written words and then digitize it?
Yes.
It was like, holy, oh my God. It was phenomenal.
Spark came out of the top of his head.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, because I was going to, so anyway. Okay.
That's how I became a fast typer. Now that you can just take a photo and it'll do it for you. But I used to have to type all my notes.
Yes. However, I can sign my name in cursive. So there you go.
There you go. I was a Catholic school girl, so all I do is write in cursive. So I found out when I started teaching high school, they couldn't read my handwriting. So I taught my kids cursive. I got them calligraphy pens, and I'm like, you're just going to learn it. I'm not gonna change my handwriting. Sit down and learn this. I'm not kidding.
I'm evil. I write everything at work in cursive because I'm gonna cuss. I apologize. Those little fuckers can't read it, and it makes me so happy because I can do all the things in cursive, and they just struggle bus big time. And I'm like
you write question, and they're like two. Yeah.
My grimoire is written in cursive. It's in a secret code. People aren't going to be able to.
Well, I also know medical shorthand, so that's another thing that I put in my notes too. So because I worked as an in-home nurse, so
Milda is like I didn't know that about the phone. I'm way behind. It was It was,
Google Lens will change your life if you have Google Lens.
It was seriously, it was not that long ago.
Okay.
So,
And another thing I love doing is I use Google Lens to identify plants when we're outside.
Yes.
oh,
So things like that. So different herbs and things. So yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So Jonathan's looking at me. Do you have another question?
Uh,
Or are we good? How are we doing, guys?
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
Is there a question you wouldn't take?
Mm-hmm.
For Jamie, this would be personal readings, not like.
Yeah. Yeah. I still yes, there still would be. I mean, I do stuff for friends and things like that, and there would be a line in the sand. You bet.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of things that I don't do online for all sorts of reasons. Is there a question that I wouldn't take? I don't think I've had a question that I wouldn't take. Of course, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I do worry about that, and I just don't like to do finances. It is just so, it's, my understanding of money and your understanding of money and what money means to you and all that stuff is all just, it's weird. So, but, and that's one of the benefits here, shameless plug. If you want a private reading with me, we do talk, we go into much more depth. Mm-hmm. Because I can get more information, and because I'm a firm believer that the right question gets a good answer.
So do you ever have this happen though, where you're asked the question, right? You get the in the now answer, because all the other information is either not being asked for, or the person that you're reading for can't handle all of the information, so you kind of have to zip your lips and hold it.
That there's the ethics of reading, and I've had that conversation a couple of times on my channel, because my role as a reader or an oracle or whatever you want to call it is to provide you additional information for this snapshot in time about what your choices are and how to help you think through those choices. Because simply by asking the question, you've changed the energy around that question. Is oftentimes how I see it, see it. So, Michelle's thinking, yes.
Well, I talked to Beth a lot in the chat about the way you read, Gerald, because it's the best way I just describe it is a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. You listen to the person, you're very present when you give the reading, you provide a lot of visual interpretation, and then you provide a solution toward the end of that they can take with them. And that's kind of the way I read, but you're more visually attuned than I am. So I think that provides a really valuable connection to the person getting the reading, because it's a visual that connects what you're seeing in your mind's eye to what they can see on the screen. So.
There's Nalani has a question. How do you know about that? How do you know that about a person's level of knowledge? That's why a good person to person reading is important, because a lot of times I've learned in the last 2 years on YouTube is to deliver the most concise message as possible with the information that bubbles up to the top that appears to be most important.
Okay.
So, and Deanne actually says, I don't do unsolved mystery questions, missing persons. I know that's a skill set that I do not have. I know people who do, and I know people who do readings, and I'm like, great, good for you. It's not a skill set that I have. So
there was a case in Ohio that you shared on your page, and it caught my attention, and I pulled a few cards for it, and I'm like, who's this King of Pentacles? And Jonathan came over to me and he goes, that's the guy that paid the guy who got in prison for doing it, and he didn't read the article. And I went, where did you get that from? And so then I texted you back and I said, this is what we got. But yeah, so he can just do it off the top of his head. I go to my cards when it comes to that kind of stuff, because I don't like to deep dive into the energy, because it can be really negative, and it's a very low vibe kind of thing. The person in our community that I really appreciate that can really get in the mud is Hershey. She's not afraid of the dark.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she can really get in there, and her readings reflect that. So, and Jonathan likes watching her for that reason too. So, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not a skill set that I'm attracted to develop. So that's just the only way to say it. It's just like, it's not something that I want to learn about.
So that brings us to the next question. This is one thing that Jonathan asked. Why? I'll let you ask it. The psychic channels and politics. You can ask that.
No, which one are we talking about?
It would be the
why
why.
are psychic channels that cover politics so popular?
Yeah. He was wondering about that. So he was wondering if you guys had any thoughts about why that was a thing.
I think channels that I have done political readings online. Yes. And I am particular about where I do that. I think part of it is because it's a lot of drama, and it's the old phrase, let's pop some popcorn and watch this, sort of. And so there's a drama involved with it, and everybody has an opinion. It's like everybody has an asshole, and so everybody has an opinion. So
would you like to hear my asshole opinion?
Okay, yes, YouTube algorithm, let's pick up the
yeah.
This is not made for kids.
Yeah, well, they kind of knew that. So I enjoy listening to Gerald read. If I know Gerald is live and he's with certain persons, with certain people, then I know that he has a level, I know ethically and everything else, that he has a certain level of discernment about who works for what, and that the people that he chooses to be with aren't charlatans. Okay. So anybody that is here, watches this later or whatever, don't take this personally, because it's not directed at you. If you've been with Gerald, you are exempt from my commentary.
Oh no.
And, no, it's simple.
Okay.
I find it ugly, negative, and not a place I want to live in. You get inundated with that stuff on the daily. And usually, and this is a big broad brush, okay, so kind of take it as my experience anyway, someone like me, tattooed, now back to the short hair, all the things, you deal with a lot of people and their narrow-minded things. I don't need to go to that for entertainment, and I certainly don't need to go to that to see how things are going to wash out, because I believe, like my friend Kelly Fitzgerald, that someone can see something, but it is not fixed. It is not, something that will not change. So the reading can be in the here and in the now, but that's not necessarily the answer.
Yeah.
And if there were more variables involved, it's kind of like the readings that have been done before, like you've done, Michelle, and that Gerald have done, where you get a certain vibe and a certain look, or what Jonathan got, a certain reading, but it's way down the road, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think that the people out there are talented enough and connected to the ether enough to disseminate that information to make it worthwhile to me to invest myself in them.
Yeah. This is a very good point. There are a lot of moving parts in politics.
Yeah.
And
in health, politics, health, any of those verboten taboo hootenannies that you want to tip your toes into, you know? You have to be aware of your audience, and you have to be aware of what are you ethically bound to.
Yeah.
And I've been sitting here playing with this deck, and I just hit the deck right on top of my hand, and it kind of hurt. Hi, I'm going to stop now.
Well, and I will add to that. When I read politics, I need a very clear question.
Yeah.
Because I need to take my ego out of this, and I'm reading the question. So it's very important to me when I read for people that I get myself out of the way, because then a message doesn't come through clearly.
Yeah,
It
I can see that.
discombobulated. It gets confusing. And so it's one of those things for me. I'm here to read. I want to know the question that I'm answering. So, but yeah.
I got wound up because my cheeks are pink.
Yes. Hootenanny. Did we answer your hi Tammy Pie? Did we answer your question? Jonathan?
Did we answer the question, sweetie?
Sort of.
Another one.
Oh, yeah. She just said, did you answer the question? Yeah. And I actually have what we think it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
So,
good.
so we think this is because we've been studying different YouTube channels, because Jonathan wants to start one in the future, and he's working himself up there. So, but first you have to address a problem that you have expertise in. That's one thing that I see in a lot of channels, and it has to hit a sweet spot that's not too specific. And then the more pain, the better.
Yeah.
So it could be health, wealth, relationships. Those are the 3 pain points in the human experience. And then there's the I, that's information. So you pass on information that solves the problem for free in the show. And then you provide a creative solution to the problem that you charge for. So that could be a one-on-one call. It could be a consulting. It could be a workshop. It could be any of those things. And then you offer some type of service afterwards that makes the clients, connect with you and the audience. So you're basically building an audience that's supporting each other and supporting you and coming up with a solution to a problem. And that's the closest I can get to like finding channels that are doing the best. And I find that the channels that don't have as many subscribers are actually doing better business, because it's more focused on the audience than it is on the topic. Because I find that ones that are, if they focus on what the audience wants, they have a lot less angry chatters, as opposed to like, don't do mass news, don't do major topics, really pick something very specific with that sweet spot. And that's kind of through the research that we've done, that we found for political channels. It's like, yeah, they could have 1 million subscribers and be broke, or they could have, let's say, 100,000 subscribers and be making 6 figures a month, just because they are really tuned into their audience and what they need, and it's a community. So,
and that's very astute. And I do like the sense of community. I like to build that. And
there's a man that his name starts with an M. I'll just say that. He has a very nice, very professional YouTube channel, and he has a lot to do with animals and things. And he does some topics that you kind of have to raise your eyebrow, like, how are you going to answer that? But I think he does a beautiful job. So,
he made you feel good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The best analogy I found was from a YouTuber who was teaching, some workshops on this. And he said, and this is the last point, which is the excellent service that you want to provide. And he goes, I'm not a designer guy. I'm not an artistic guy, but I live in Dubai and I have giant feet, and no one can make shoes in my foot size. And so I found from a local that there is someone who makes shoes that are a size, let's just say like 18 at Gucci. And he goes, I am not going to spend that much money on something that smells. So he said, I'm Australian. We don't do that. And so he goes, but it was the only place I could get a decent pair of shoes. Mine were falling apart. So I went down there, and this guy meets me, and he goes, first, he was incredibly attentive and nice, and asked me what I needed, and said, oh, we can solve that right away. So he found an immediate solution to his problem. And then he gave him the information that he needed in order to make the best solution for him. And then he complimented him when he put on the shoes. You made a beautiful choice that really matches your outfit, that those are going to last a long time. what would look really good with those shoes that you picked out and designed yourself are these belts over here. And he goes, I was walking over like on a choke collar with this guy. And he goes, and he went and he got me coffee and he was personable. And he goes, I walked out 1,300 pounds lighter and I felt like $1 million. And he goes, and it was because I received the service. And then he goes, and then at the end, he sent me a WhatsApp message thanking me for my service with a link for a discount next time and to let me know what my coffee order would be. I mean, just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so he goes, I told all my friends, I told all my family, referral heaven, you know, it was just, oh, I work in marketing, Beth. I went from journalism to marketing. So she's like, yeah.
Like,
Can I give you a funny though? This is where my brain went. So I'm thinking, okay, Australian, lives in Dubai. My cousin lives in Dubai, by the way. So Australian, lives in Dubai. He has big feet. I could save him thousands of dollars by not having to go to Gucci because he has big feet. He's never going to sink in the sand. He doesn't need shoes. There you go. Sorry.
That is Jamie, Wandering Mountain Bardic Path.
You're welcome.
Oh my God, your frozen fish story, the frozen fish story. Like that was, everyone's like, there was a plant nearby. No. They opened the refrigerator. You have the most incredible imagination.
You're welcome.
Wow. Do we have time for one final question, Jamie?
Oh yeah, sure. Stephen just left. The dogs are back that way. They're not going to bug me right now.
Okay, Jonathan, I'll let you ask it. Any of the ones we have, like over 20 questions. So
this last one, and then we kind of maybe covered this a little bit, but this is: have you ever been frightened, or let's say reluctant, to give a reading after looking at the cards?
Ooh. Like you might know the person, or I don't know.
No.
Well, mine's a sidebar story, so maybe Gerald wants to go first. I don't know.
Go ahead, Jamie.
So I have this will sound really pretentious. It's not meant that way. So I have things that in lucid dreaming come like when you're just going to sleep and you hit those different levels of the ether, or just when you're coming out of sleep. Like I know that when my mom died, it was a very weird and unique situation. And I remember her hand and my hand connecting and being on my chest when I woke up. And I knew for a fact it was not my hands entwined because I could feel her hand. Okay. And later it came with the fact that I had on a fingerprint ring, and it was a fingerprint of my mom's that I got through this whole weird story that's too bizarre to go into. But in any case, I knew it was her, and she was touching her own fingerprint, right? But that's the side part of how I see things sometimes. And my mom, when I was a kid, she had this weird dream, and she knew it wasn't good, but it was her kid that was trying to disseminate the information, because all the things coming up in color and everything else with this particular dream, in that she was standing at an elevator and she had these huge choices, huge life choices to make. And she kept hearing, and she did the voice better than I do, but she kept hearing the expression down. And it was one of those things that it's like, okay, what horrible, nasty thing is going to happen now? Because it was very visceral, very real, very everything. I saw all of the things, and I'm trying to figure out with my limited vocabulary as a 14, 15-year-old, how to tell my mom she needs to pay attention to the people that are collectively around her, what's, all of that stuff. And within 6 months, my mom had her business stolen from her. We lost our condo. Our car was repossessed. all of these things happened around this same time. And there was no way I saw the things, but I didn't have the vocabulary yet to tell her.
What date? What year? So you were 14 when that happened, Jamie?
Yeah, 14, 15, somewhere in there.
Okay. So let me see
Yeah,
here.
so
You would have been in your Venus Mahadasha.
81, 82, something like that.
Oh, wait, let me see. That's okay. Let me see. Oh, wait, no, Venus. I was looking at Gerald's chart. Duh. Let's see.
If it was in Gerald's chart, it would not surprise me.
Oh, no. You guys do have some overlap.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
This happened when you were 14. So you would have been in Rahu. And that would be Rahu, Jupiter. Oh, okay. So Jupiter helped you with that. Okay. Your Jupiter's exalted. That's the ability for you to see false gurus and people that are just doing things that aren't on the up and up. Because what Jupiter is he is the teacher to the devas and the humans, and he protects them from the asuryas, who are the demons. Venus is the guru to the demons, and he basically gives them everything they want until they find out that it doesn't make them happy and they become more human or deva. So you were able to track some of the things that were happening there. And
yeah, I could track, but I couldn't help her.
Yeah.
And I believe your Jupiter is in Punavarsi. Well, you were too young. Don't blame yourself for that. You were a kid. So
no, I don't blame myself.
Oh, good.
Not by any means, but I just didn't have the vocabulary to help.
That would be Pushyami. Okay, I can tell why you wanted to be helpful, because your Jupiter's the same as my sun. So basically, you're a nurturer. This is what you were in. You're taking on the path of nurture, honest, benign, calm, self-reliant, wise, rigid, the power to create spiritual energy. And so you were literally tapping into the spiritual energy that was around her and trying to warn her the best way that you could, but it was kind of a new thing.
Yeah,
but it's ruled by Brihaspati. So
yeah, I sometimes say I raised my mom.
Yeah. Well, look at the photo here. What's the milk? What is the cow doing? You were nourishing your mother. It's the star of nourishment. So you were literally taking care of mom a little bit there.
Yeah,
interesting. Sounds like she was doing that in her work, so she wasn't able to bring as much home. But
wow. Yeah, fascinating, huh?
Yeah, that is for sure.
All right.
Honey, what was the question again? Wow. Jamie, your answers are like, whoo.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, that was really
I know
good,
how to
especially
live.
holding the hands, and that was really intense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually had a ghost do that, so you're not, I totally believe you. That happened to me too.
Oh yeah.
So.
It was the most intense, real. I've had some interesting experience, but that was pretty damn amazing for me. Yeah.
I haven't had a reading that I've been afraid to deliver the message. I believe that is how the caffeinated and unfiltered approach came into being.
That makes sense.
Which is, I can usually connect pretty well with people, and I'm going to tell it like it is. Then I'm going to hold space so that we can unpack that and have it make sense. And so, yes, the spoonful of sugar idea is there. However, people need to hear the truth. And when they hear the truth, they can recognize it. Then they need time and support to process it. So,
that's one of the great things about you, not to toot your horn, but I mean, that's one of the great things about you is that you can deliver something that might be a little uncomfortable, but you allow a person to feel uncomfortable but supported, if that makes sense. Because that's one of the things that you do for me as a sounding board. You let me bitch, moan, cry, wah, 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 and then you're like, okay, let's take a look at this. What are we doing with this? Right?
Well, and I have done it. I have looked at cards and I'm like, do you want the sugar-coated version, or do you want the clear and direct, or do you want something in between? and then I actually follow what the person says.
Mm.
I follow what the person does. And so, well, here you go.
Yes, she did.
I know.
Yeah, I used to own a jewelry store. So yeah, I did not cast this myself. I bought this from an artist in Berkeley. But this is Buddha with red coral, and they did a really good job with the wax casting. I cast jewelry myself. I work with metal and stones, and so I really appreciate the artwork here. And he also made the beads. And then I've got the red coral for Mars today, and I'm wearing red for Mars, and then I've got my rings. So yeah, I do wax casting, I do sand casting, I do stringing, beading, repair, all of that. I love making jewelry. I don't have a store anymore. I just do it as a hobby now. So thank you.
Jane the Seeker is here. Hi, Jane the Seeker.
Hi,
Tarot.
Jane.
Thank you.
I love watching Jane read too.
Yes.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So frightening. My blind spot is not knowing totally when a woman's ready to leave yet. And so the frightening readings for me are when I see that a person, the most frightening is for me is when it's someone in my environment, like a friend or a neighbor. And I look at it and they don't even know what's going on and they're not ready to leave. And I don't want this guy on me. So it's like, how do I tell this person to protect themselves when they're going to defend this person and quite possibly see me as an enemy? And sometimes I have to let the friendship go, or I have to let the connection go, or I have to walk away because it's too dangerous, and that sucks. Yeah. So instead of giving them the reading because they're not ready to hear it yet, I will walk away from situations like that, just because it's like my family is in their safety is important. And I do confirm with them that that's going on, and they still don't see it. They think that that's normal and that's love. So, and that it's okay for them, their spouse, to treat them that way. And almost 10 times out of 10, the spouse will come for me. And they'll use information that they got from the victim to get me. So that's the frightening thing for me, because I've almost lost my life more than once because of this. But I didn't lose my life because tarot readers literally pulled me off the street and said, "What are you doing with that guy?" And I needed to hear it, and I was ready to hear it. They could see it in my face.
Yeah.
So I'm still getting to that. I'm not to the level of the tarot reader that grabbed me when it comes to seeing like she's ready. So when I pull cards for that, it's frightening for me to do that, not because I'm scared for, myself. I put all of these things in place. I'm kind of scared as to if my advice is going to harm that person, because it's the leaving that's the scariest part. That's when things get really bad and violent. So, yeah. What about you, sweetie? Jonathan, what about you? He's watching on his phone, so.
I'm constantly talked to by various little entities and spirits, and my higher self and my lower self, and my difficulty is knowing who's fooling with me, who's warning me, and who's asleep. So this has happened since I was a kid. I would say things to people and they'd look at me strangely, and I'd realize I thought, I shouldn't have said that. And they're thinking, why did that kid just give me some adult advice standing on the street corner,
Yeah.
So it just continues. Now it's continuing onto YouTube, apparently.
Yeah. Jonathan has what's called the gift of the voice of Shiva in his chart. And so when he is in a very calm place, he can tap into that line. And the beauty about Shiva is he's not afraid of the dark. So he can go to the depths of the depths of the depths. He can deal with he goes into the goblin realms, and they're like, Jai Shiva, so he can go to any realm and just meet a person there and work with them. And I think that's a beautiful gift that Jonathan has.
That is a huge gift.
Yeah. But it gets him in trouble sometimes. So does mine. So that's the blind spot.
Wow. I think I answered your question. I went off on the difficult, not scary, but
is there anything that scares you, Gerald?
Huh?
Is there anything that scares you?
Getting caught. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, you heard it here first.
There you go. That's gonna be, that's gonna be the shorts all around.
And there went his credibility.
No, flush. No, I think is there anything that scares me? Probably, but what scares most people, I get really interested in. I'm like, what is that thing? You know, what's going on about that? There's a curiosity about it.
The rabbit trail.
Yeah, the rabbit trail. And I remember watching somebody talking about, I watched a show once, and somebody was talking about how they were going down the street, and then they were going down a path walking out, and then they sensed this thing, you know, down this alleyway or down this other trail. And, you know, they had to run away from it. And I'm the one who I'm like going, well, I'm actually backing up and I'm going down the trail because what's back here? What's back here?
Curiosity.
You know,
Okay.
it's the curiosity. And oh yeah. Sounds very Scorpio to me. Mm-hmm.
It is,
So,
yeah.
there you go. But it could also be the, you know, it's the very Libra in me because there's a balance to everything. So
You have an exalted Mars, Gerald. That means you're very brave. Mars in Capricorn is very brave. And that's in Uttara Ashada. That's the same as Martin Luther King. So, and he wasn't afraid to speak out and speak, you know, to power and things like that. So Jonathan also has Mars in Capricorn. So I've seen it.
Look at this.
And you guys have like
Little hands are scary. No shit.
Oh my gosh. This has been an hour and 36 minutes of great fun. Thank you very, very much. What'd you say, Jeffrey?
Pure fun.
Pure fun.
And
a little education. So Michelle's information is linked below. I mean, you've just gotten a little bit of taste of what she can explain using your chart. And, you know, consider, people, if you need to do that, contact me if you want you know, private readings. So Michelle and I both do readings. Does Jonathan do readings?
Jonathan is thinking about, are you on your channel right now? Can you say hi to everybody?
No,
You're not on there?
I'm monitoring.
Oh, you're monitoring. Okay. So Jonathan is a practical advice giver, but he's able to tap into that Shiva energy and get to the nitty gritty details of things. He kind of reminds me of, you know, Cleo the seer, how she reads.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he even looks like her. That's why he's like, when people look at Cleo, they're like, is she angry? What's wrong with Cleo? And I'm thinking, she's like Jonathan. She's listening. You know, that's just, she's listening very intently. She's disseminating all this information. You can see all the psychic stuff going on in her head, but to the average person looking on the outside, they don't see it. So it's kind of like
the
that.
Man on the train.
Yes. He's the man on the train. It's like
that.
Cleo. Yeah. And I loved reading with her because she reminded me so much of Jonathan.
I am always going to picture him now with a top hat and like Charles Dickens clothing, because Gerald and I follow a guy that makes his own clothes from that time period, and it's beautiful and fascinating, but I am always going to picture him that way now.
And actually, the Man on the Train, that's a great channel name.
oh yeah.
Oh,
The Man on the Train.
okay.
So, because that's got some stories and that's got some energy around it. And yes, is Jonathan shy?
Keyboard's clicking as somebody copyrights it.
Yeah, that's Gerald.
Yeah, there you go. You know, right now there's only 22 people watching, so I'm not sure I have that much influence on things. But, you know, get on it, Jonathan. So
he's got a personal relationship with the name too.
There you go. Just a touch of absinthe in his coffee thermos.
Oh, geez.
So, yeah, but it's that, anyhow, I'm rambling. Is he looking it up?
He's laughing.
I think that's a really good,
I know what absinthe is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he does. No, they're talking about the,
The Man on the Train.
The Man on the Train, yeah. Yeah. We've already come up with a name. We'll share it later, but it combines both of us. And yeah,
that's not the point.
So,
planning be damned. That's not the point.
Yeah.
It's great.
But Jonathan will tell people, he'll tell people he's not psychic, but he's not only psychic, he's a situational psychic, because we'll be on the elevator and he'll just make something that makes the whole elevator laugh. He'll just say something out loud because he'll notice something and everyone will laugh. Like someone came on and they were holding like a like a whole, like it was like a bunch of balloons for a gift or something like that. And he just, something flew out of his mouth. The whole elevator was erupting in laughter. He does this in every scenario. And then it opens the door for people to just start talking to him.
Yep.
And it's just an incredible gift. It's kind of like Conan O'Brien's level of comedy. He goes out in the public and he just starts interacting with people, like situationally.
I love
so
it.
I mean this with respect, but if Jonathan ever said that to me in person, I would look at him and say, liar, liar, pants on fire.
Oh my gosh.
Oh goodness.
Oh my gosh. Michelle, do you want to mention anything stuff coming up for you?
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to be on Marina's channel, Heart Centered Tarot. We'll be simulcasting tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific. That'll be 8 p.m. Central and 9 p.m. Eastern. And then on Wednesday, I have David with Tarot by the Bay on. We're going to be giving personal readings at 4 p.m. Pacific. And then I'm going to do an unboxing of the Crystal Spirit board. And that is I'm going to be, like that. That's Thursday at 4 o'clock. And then next week, I have Ivana Intuitive on. And again, I have the Wednesday show on at the same time for over 2 years. So
love that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, just to remind people, I have light language in the evening. And then I have a laugh and learn about the goddess Hecate. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation. And if you like and subscribe to our channels, we do promote and we do let people know what we've got coming up. So
in the community tab too.
In the community tab, yes. So Marita loves the tapestry behind you. Looks like a halo.
Oh yeah, like it's an astrology chart. So if you go up, it's the.
Yep. Love it.
Yep.
It's great. Yeah. This was a lot of fun. Thank you. And so how many more questions do you have left? We can do a round 2 in a couple of months.
Oh yeah, for sure. That would be That would be really fun. We only answered about half of them and we have more. So whenever you guys are available.
Well, Marita has more. Kaylee has more. So it's completely awesome.
Maruta had the best food questions. Oh my gosh. We were so hungry after her show.
Yeah.
She's like the best cook.
Yes.
So,
yes. So and Jeffrey goes, oh good, he's off the hook. So he doesn't have
No,
to.
you're not. No.
Yeah. So
sorry, dude. Love you, but no.
So, all right, everybody, thank you very much for being here, and we will see you later. Bye.